I'll probably.
I got called the nerd the other day.
The nerd? You are the nerd.
The nerd. The nerds of nerds. Like, I'm going to pull my glasses out.
I like it.
And I'm going to put them on right now, and we're going to talk about the nerdiest thing.
But
we're actually going to talk about the nerdiest thing.
I was about to say, that's all I had.
Yeah,
so
I want to
if
bring
you wanna
up...
talk about
well,
something,
I guess
go for it.
we'll start with sleep paralysis and my experience. We actually talked about sleep paralysis before.
I've had one that I can remember.
Yeah.
One experience with sleep paralysis, and it freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, and you told me your experience with sleep paralysis was like you were sitting in a chair and like everything was coming at you.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot more to it than that. Like, and I even watched a documentary after that blew my mind even fucking more because it's like they were there and they knew exactly what happened to me.
Okay.
It's called, I think it's called The Nightmare or something like that.
I think I've seen that. Was that on?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, that's on Netflix.
And
where
it's
they
all
have, like, a
about
bunch of
sleep
shadows.
paralysis. Yeah, dude, I experienced like most of what they talked about. Like, what it was is I woke up in the middle of the night and I realized that all around me I could see, you know what fractals are? No.
Like,
It's kind of like it's
Spectre.
those images that like they're usually inspired like a lot of Tool, the band Tool's art uses
Okay.
a lot of fractals, but like it's those images that it's you just keep going deeper and deeper into it, and it just
Like a
repeats itself, and
bottomless-
repeats itself,
yeah.
and repeats itself, and like I realized that like I could see just just fractals all over the place in the space around me in the air. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? But as I'm noticing these things, I'm realizing that I'm seeing some dark figure move around inside of all these things. I'm noticing this dark figure because all those fractals are there. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
bouncing. Because those fractals are there, I could see this dark figure in the darkness. Because I could see the weird movements in the fractals and shit. But I can't move this whole time. I'm literally looking around with just my eyeballs. Like this. And I'm screaming on the inside going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Right.
And I can't do anything about it. My girlfriend's laying right next to me. I'm just like, what the fuck? And I'm seeing this thing move around me, and I feel like there's something in the room with us. Like I have that fear in me.
Yeah, like an anxious, like something's like someone's coming up
Yeah.
on you.
And this goes on for maybe like 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
Like, and then eventually, like all the things I'm saying and doing on the inside, I just jump into. Like I'm out of it, and all those things that I was saying and doing on the inside are now happening in reality. I just all of a sudden jump up. What the fuck? What the fuck? And my girlfriend wakes up like, what the fuck is going on?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, and I explained to her what was going on and shit. And she was, and at first I didn't know what was going on. She's like, yeah, that happened. Like, that's happened to me. That happens to people sometimes, like all tired and shit. And I'm just thinking, like, are you fucking really?
Yeah, right.
I could never hear about this. What the
You're
fuck are you
right.
talking about?
Why didn't tell me about this?
And she's just like, it's okay. So, and I eventually calmed down. I think I went and I smoked a cigarette. And I came in here and was just like, whew, you know, calmed down and went back. Eventually went back in there, laid down. She's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. I never experienced anything like that before. And went back to sleep. Hasn't happened again since.
See, I've had like.
But then I saw that documentary a couple of weeks later, and I was like,
yeah, right.
like it's like they were fucking telling. That's like a doctor was talking to me and saying like, this is what happened. Maybe not this part, but all that other shit I was talking about, right? And I'm like, yes, it happened. I'm looking at the TV and shit. But,
See, my experience, I've had 3 sleep paralysis experiences that I know of, like 3 or 4. My first one, I was young. I was like, I was young, probably. My great grandma was still alive, so I was probably like 6, 4 or 5.
okay, that's fairly.
maybe even 5
this
or
was,
6. Yeah.
For me, this was like 2-3 years ago.
Okay, so I'm laying there, and like I open my eyes, and I'm just like, I can hear everybody walking around. I can hear them. For me, I've never seen shadows. I've never seen anybody that wasn't there. I've
So is
never
this
heard anything that wasn't
Something
there.
that happens to you often? Like this
Not
happened many
recently.
times?
This has happened like 3 times in my entire life.
Okay, but
3
the
or 4
first time
times
was
in my
when you were
entire life.
6.
First time when I was like 6.
Okay.
And so I'm laying there and I'm like this, and I don't know what's going on. I'm completely frozen. And I can hear them talking about the day. Like they're like, oh, we're going to make some corn. We're going to do this. And like they're walking over me because I'm sleeping on the floor at this point. I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And they're like doing their everyday thing. And I'm laying there like, help me.
Wow.
And like I'm trying to do this. And like all of a sudden it switches to an image. And I'm just like bouncing a basketball off the back of my eyelid with somebody else standing next to me that I have no idea who this kid is. But we're just standing there, and I could see the basketball hit the back of my eye. Like I'm laying there like this, and then I see this person here. Like I'm now seeing out of my eyes. Like I shrunk down to a small person, and I'm in my brain like,
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what? I want to wake up now. And I'm just like, and I grab the ball and I just wake up. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Like you said, like I'm 6. I'm not saying that, but I'm like, and I tell them about this and they're just like, oh yeah, whatever. We were talking about that. I was like I waited till later and I was like, were you guys talking about like making corn or some shit earlier? They were like, yeah, we were talking about that. We were going to have that for dinner. And I was like, is that a dream about it? I was like, oh, you must have overheard us.
Yeah, I'm thinking like you were like in a weird
like dream state.
You were in that state between like REM sleep and awake.
Yeah.
Like you were still alert. You know that like when you're really tired, but you just lay down and you just slowly feel yourself falling asleep.
Yeah.
And you can still hear things going on. You're still aware of things going on around you, but you're kind of asleep too. But it's like that state.
I couldn't move. Like I was paralyzed.
Yeah, because your body's asleep, but your mind's awake.
Yeah, my mind was like almost completely awake, and I'm laying there like. And that's what I've heard of sleep paralysis. Like the people are like, because I just seen a movie about it. It was obviously a fictional movie.
Yeah.
But the protagonist in it, she would fall asleep, and then this old hag, they actually called her the old hag, you just see her like crawling, and then she would come up and start choking you to death, and you would wake up.
No,
but
I've
then
heard
she
about
would
that.
get more and more of a grip on you, and she'd finally kill you. And so people were dying in their sleep, and the doctor was like, oh, it's just sleep paralysis. You're hallucinating. Hallucinations can kill you. Sleep paralysis can kill you. And then, like, spoiler alert, but by the end of the movie, the doctor gets visited by the old hag. Like, they figure out how to kill the old hag, and then the doctor gets visited because it's something that can never be killed.
This actually sounds kind of familiar.
Okay, I don't remember what it was called, but it came out like maybe 2 years ago. I just seen it on Netflix. She was like a blonde-haired doctor, short hair, glasses.
That's interesting that you mentioned that. They must have saw this documentary or did some research because they're basing that old hag lady on what they call the man in black.
Okay, yeah,
He's
I've heard of the man. I've seen the man in black, yeah.
And this is what I basically accredit that black figure moving around me was this man in black, my version of it. You know what I mean? Everybody kind of sees their own version of it, but the most commonly told version of it is a guy. All it is you're seeing like basically a shadow shape of a man, and he's wearing like a hat of some sort, like a big one. And sometimes there's like 2 other shadow people behind him, almost like they're a posse or something. Okay. Like these are his thugs, you know what I mean?
Crew, like a demon showing up.
Like,
there's like 2 other demons with him.
And I think that's probably just the people's minds creating this image to represent whatever it is. Like for me, it was almost just I didn't see like shapes or to me it was the outline of like a humanoid figure, but I didn't see like the shape of a hat or like a coat, like and they used imagery in the documentary, so maybe I'm taking more from the imagery they showed me than what actually people... Because in the imagery, what it was is it looked like Dick Tracy fucking standing in the doorway with 2 dudes. You know what I mean? With the fedora and everything. But, I think that's... Because people say that, and people talk about how they feel like they can see the space around them, and I probably... fractals are like highly... recognized as being very mathematical, which just like the universe and shit. So
like you were
fractals in a way, it kind of represents a lot of scientific theory and shit.
You were seeing in between the what makes up. You were seeing in between matter and like what makes up everything.
I was basically seeing the particles that make up space and shit.
Yeah, like your
and
filter
time.
Was,
like
your
I was
filter
seeing.
Was down.
Yeah, like it was weird. Like that's how I imagined it.
Like your eyes were woken.
It's like I was seeing what we don't see there for a brief moment. Like that's how I saw it. Like you actually see what space and time is for a second. It's just a bunch of fucking shit we don't understand.
Right.
It's crazy. It
crazy. Is. And like fast forward till we'll say, I want to say like 6 years ago. All right. Yeah. So I'm laying in the bed with my girlfriend, and I got my arm around her, and I'm like, and we're talking, and I go like this. Instant attack, and I'm like,
are you sure you're not having like seizures or something?
Paralyzed now. And like as soon as I put my head down, I can feel my face like moving into the pillow, like the weight of my head just going more and more deeper into sleep, but I could feel the pillow starting to cut off my air circulation. And I see my girlfriend in front of me, and like since we had just been talking, she's over there playing on her phone and shit, and I'm getting angry because in my mind I'm like, fucking help me. And I'm like trying to move my finger to touch her so she'll like bump me or something, because I know what's going on at this point, because this is like would be because the second attack I think was pretty close to the same thing.
I
Like,
was doing something similar. I was like trying to
this
bump
is
my
pretty much
girlfriend
like,
if I could, but I couldn't.
Yeah, like this is like the third attack now. So we skip past the second one, which was like I said, just pretty much the same thing. I think it might even happen in the same night.
Yeah.
But I'm laying there and I'm like, fucking help me. And I'm like, and I wake up and I'm like, fucking help me. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I said, fucking help me.
It's like you
and I was
finally
mad as
break
fuck.
through that wall that's stopping it from
Yeah.
coming out of you. It's just like, fucking help me.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm mad as fuck now because I wake up in this, like, for 20 minutes in my mind, I'm suffocating and I'm like about to die on
dude,
this
it's crazy.
pillow.
It's like you're fighting.
Yeah.
It's like you're fighting
But
a battle.
But it's like everybody says they've seen these things. I've never felt that
crazy,
feeling
mate.
of someone else in the room. And I've never seen anything but what's in the room. And it's like, I don't know. It's fucking insane. Have you
Nah.
ever had any-